Thank you so much for tuning in to Mom Jeans, trying to fit into motherhood.
Welcome back to another episode of Mom Jeans. We are your hosts. I'm Leah, IVF boy mom.
I'm Danielle, boy mom, military spouse. And there's something else I was supposed to say, but I forgot.
Stay-at-home mom.
Stay-at-home mom.
Yeah, that's it. Stay-at-home mom. There we go.
And I am Lisa, a girl mom of 2 girls.
So this week we found an article about placentas. Hot topic. I know that there's a lot of conversation out there in different ways that placentas can or cannot be used. And so this article is titled, "Placentas Can Offer Healing Benefits. Why Are They Being Thrown Away?" The article actually talks about a woman who survived a propane explosion at her mother's house, and her face became completely unrecognizable until surgeons used a graft made out of a human placenta to heal her burnt skin. So research has found that even after the placenta exits the body, it's packed with stem cells and important proteins. So I think maybe some celebrities, or maybe if you listen to mainstream media, there's been some conversations around eating your placenta after pregnancy. This article continues to talk about how the placenta can help promote speedy skin and tissue regrowth, heal chronic wounds, and help restore vision. The article about the woman whose face was repaired using placenta is from the New York Times, and it's putting a major spotlight on the medical community as to what are we doing with these placentas? Why are we throwing them away? Why can't they be used for the healing powers that they offer? Some of the research suggests that women would be more open to donating their organ after birth if they knew it was an option. And I will tell you personally, I had no idea that it was an option to donate your placenta. And it's limited. Not all hospitals will actually accept your donated placenta. But the reason that maybe a lot of people don't know this article says the reason that maybe a lot of women don't know that you can donate your placenta, or maybe that some hospitals don't do it, is because historically speaking, there was concerns about some disease transmissions that could happen through placenta donation. However, this article really sparked some thoughts and conversations in myself, and maybe within, Lisa was actually the one who originally sent me the article, so thank you, Lisa, about the placenta, what we do and do not know. I will kick it off by saying I did encapsulate my placenta after pregnancy, and I did take those pills. However, I was also a low producer with milk supply, and so my doctor advised that I stop taking them because she said there wasn't enough research to support whether it was helpful or harmful for milk supply for women who were breastfeeding. So I did stop taking them, but also my placenta was very abnormal. I had an abnormal placenta. And what my doulas did that I thought was really cool was that they took my placenta and kind of made a stamp out of it. So we have like 5 different pieces of artwork of how my placenta was stamped, with food grade, safe coloring, because again, then they took my placenta, dried it out, and encapsulated it for me. But I thought this was really interesting, especially because I had an abnormal placenta and I had some high-risk complications as a result of it during my pregnancy. So would love to hear your guys' reaction to this story.
I found it really interesting, and I'm also interested to know like how long they've known that this can be beneficial. Like I know so I did one of the pregnancy apps, and I couldn't tell you which one now. But it was like, you should start thinking about whether you want to keep your placenta. So I asked my doctor and I said, I read this and it can be super beneficial. Like if I get sick later or the baby gets sick later. And she's like, nope, it's literally the garbage disposal. Like it's like what your body's weeded out that's not safe or effective for your child to have. So you don't want to keep that. And we don't really do that anyway. Like it would be a big process for you to do it. And like, I think immediately when she was like, oh, it's not, it's like the garbage disposal, I was like, all right, we'll get rid of it then. Like I didn't understand it, but I also was like, that's so interesting that she would describe it that way because of like, for them to have an article in the pregnancy app, you have to think that there are benefits and they know there are benefits about it. So for her to have such a different view than that app, is very interesting to me. And I didn't like, and now thinking about it, I'm like, was it just an inconvenience to her? Is that why she wasn't interested in that? I don't know, but I know, yeah, I guess I didn't realize that you could use anybody's placenta to help heal anybody. They made it sound like what the article I read was, it was healing powers for you and the people in your genetic line of like having the same, whatever, DNA, blood, whatever stuff.
Yeah, I found that really interesting. Well, I mean, mammals, they eat their placenta
That's what I was
like
going to say.
after giving birth, like all mammals.
We're the only
But
mammals who don't.
yeah, which I get it. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't think about keeping my placenta. I didn't even see my placenta because I had a C-section and I was just completely out of it. But it would have been cool to see. And I have heard of people like capping it and that there's healing powers. I've heard both sides. One, that there's not enough research to show that it's beneficial or not. And then that it, like everything that you just described, Leah. So yeah, personally, I don't think I want to eat my placenta. But I have heard other good ideas, like if you plant it and then plant a tree on top of it. I don't know. I've heard that people do that too.
Oh,
Well, if you look at the, I want to say average placenta because mine was so abnormal, but if you look at the average placenta, it actually, if you stamp it, so that's what my doulas do, and they've shared this on their social media. If you stamp it, it looks like the tree of life.
Oh yeah.
So the contrary belief to it
interesting.
being garbage disposal is that it's the tree of life and that it's the life support system for your child when they're in the womb. So I think it's interesting that there's these again, we're on another polarizing topic, right? But very polarizing viewpoints to it with mixed
Sorry,
scientific
my
data. What
stomach.
was that?
My stomach.
That was so loud.
I know. It like lit up the. Okay, go ahead. Every episode, it's my stomach.
Do you eat before you get on?
No, it's me drinking my water, and it makes noises in my stomach.
So placenta encapsulation began in the 1970s and was inspired by the practice of mammals eating their own placenta. So women began to explore the idea of consuming their own placenta after giving birth. I actually would have honestly thought that it had been around longer than that.
Interesting. I wouldn't have thought that. I mean, I honestly, like you guys talked about, they never talked about my placenta at all in my births. Like because I also had a C-section, so it wasn't like I had to birth it,
Yeah, but I had a C-section too, and they pulled mine out and were like, this is the craziest placenta we've ever seen.
That's crazy.
And so
did you get to see it while it was happening?
Not while it was happening. I saw it afterwards because they said that to me. They're like, you have the most wild placenta we've ever seen. And we kind of anticipated that through ultrasounds and knowing, that I had velamentous cord insertion. But Yeah, we weren't originally planning on doing the stamping of the placenta, just the encapsulation. And when they said that it was just the most bizarre looking placenta, I was like, well, I want to see it. So they had passed my placenta around in a bucket for everybody to see who was
Oh
in
my
the
goodness.
OR. And then they brought it and showed it to me and showed me kind of what they would have expected a placenta to look like versus what mine did.
Mm.
So again, that kind of tree of life, that circular round
Mm-hmm.
hamburger patty is what most placentas will look like, whereas mine looked like a sub sandwich,
Mm.
a six
Interesting.
inch, $5 foot long. So yeah, I thought that was really, really interesting. And then the stamps that the doulas created turned out really cool. So definitely at least recommend that. But then so they had on our board in our room, like keeping placenta, yes or no. It said yes. And so they
Oh,
stored
I
it.
didn't see that on the board. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's such an interesting experience, like having different doctors, and I mean, we were in the same practice, and I mean, you had doulas, so a little bit different too. But I just like I would absolutely donate mine. No doubt, like no question about it. Like I don't have any, I wouldn't have had any issue, and if it could help somebody, I would absolutely be all for that. The vision thing, like I want to know more about that. How does that help people's vision? Because I could
Yeah,
use that big time.
same.
Yeah, I just like, yeah, it's like it is. It's so polarizing. I would love to know the research that my doctor had done to say that it's the garbage disposal kind of thing, because we had the same doctor. That I don't know if you had a
Which,
conversation with your doctor too,
yeah, that doesn't
Leah.
make a lot of sense. I don't know. I mean, I guess because it filters things but like still, it's gives life to the baby. So you would think, I don't know, that would have good nutrients or something in it for you. I don't know. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Leah, did it taste bad? Like,
No, it actually didn't. I was really concerned about that. And I was really concerned about like if I burped it up, you know how sometimes when you like take a vitamin or
yeah.
something, you burp it up and you're like, oh, that's like my probiotic that I currently take. If I burp it up, it's awful. But no, it didn't. It didn't have any bad taste. I can't say honestly, did I notice any positive side effects? No. Did I notice any negative side effects? No. Would I do it again? Meh. I just didn't see it really either way. So, um,
Right.
that's
Well, I
just me,
mean,
but
I do know, talking to somebody, that they were saying that they truly believe that they had postpartum depression with their second kid because they were not able to keep the placenta. And she was a strong believer that the placenta is what helped her not have that her first time around, her first pregnancy or birth.
there's a lot
that's
of women who
interesting.
swear by it for sure.
Mhm.
Um,
It's incredible.
Well,
Like, and I don't know if this is just our generation or if it's everybody, but like we are super impressionable. And if you get the right person, like I'll agree to pretty much anything. Like if you tell me you have some kind of expertise that I have zero knowledge in, I'll be like, okay, cool. And that's exactly what I would say happened with the placenta conversation with my doctor. Like I had zero knowledge to it. So, I mean, when I was reading the article about it, it's like if you ever, have a serious health issue, like it can help you, but you're also paying to store it essentially in storage for as long as until you need it. And it's like, are you willing to do that? Like, well, just throw it in a bag in my freezer. I'll just keep it.
right. I don't think I had a questionnaire about my placenta, but the cord, yes, you could store the
Mm-hmm.
cord.
yeah, cord
Yeah.
blood.
Same thing. I was like, I was like, yeah, all that sounds really great, but I don't want to pay to store it. And then I guess me for like donating it, which I probably should have, it's just like, well, that's like my DNA, my son's DNA, like, or whatever, the blood.
Yeah.
I don't even know, no knowledge, but I was like, what are they going to do with it? Are they going to clone me? I don't know. I'm very like more on the
Oh.
skeptical conspiracy side.
I won't do
Not all the way.
23andMe
Just
for that reason.
yeah. But yeah,
Oh
I'm like, are
man.
they going to
Did you
clone
see
me?
the heat with that right now?
Mm-mm.
So they're in so much financial strain that they're looking to sell 23andMe, and that could completely expose all the data that they have of everybody they've collected data on. Isn't that crazy?
See? Not doing it.
Yeah.
Well,
You
I mean,
convinced me.
they caught the Golden State Killer from 23andMe.
I don't know. I don't know what
Well,
that is. I don't know.
Oh, look it up. You know what's so interesting, and like this is gonna sound really ridiculous, but my dad was a big casino frequenter for a long time, and he refused to get a player's card because he claims that some guy at the casino got caught on his warrant and got taken to jail because they could track him through his player's card. And I was like, I mean, Dad, that seems a little extreme, but that, like a little bit different than 23andMe. But yeah, that's a conspiracy theorists out there.
yeah, there's another thing very similar where they're taking, you know how they put the baby's blood on the card where they did all the tests in the
Yeah.
hospital?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Apparently, there was some kind of controversy that they could track like family members through their DNA if they have any
Ooh.
like warrants or anything, like, or I don't know, could link them to crimes. Not the baby, but like their father or their
Right.
mother.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm like,
I
it's
mean,
interesting.
I felt uncomfortable doing that test with Wes. I was
Really?
like, why are we sending off his blood to someone else on card stock? Like, I
Yeah.
don't understand this. This doesn't make any sense to me. Why does this have to go and get reviewed by a government agency to tell me if he has a susceptible disease or not? Why can't we do that here? I totally was not into it
Interesting.
Yeah.
for these
Yeah,
reasons.
I heard there's only so many they need, but they do all these extra for who then they don't even know why. And yeah, like you said, they send them off.
Isn't it
Yeah.
interesting to think like you can understand why people have their kids in like caves and don't report it? Like I think about that because I saw a census card on the ground and I was like, I wonder how they get an accurate number on a census, because you think about like people not knowing who's actually living in houses, but like we're so traceable in my household. Like we go to a million doctors, like everybody knows everybody in this house. I had to call a doctor today and I was like, hey, I need to know if I paid this bill. And she's like, oh, was it for Aubrey? I was like, no. She's like, Hannah? I was like, nope. And she's like, Brandon. I said, yep. Like we all go to the same doctors and like, it's just like I'm getting off topic here, sorry. But yeah, we're traceable.
Well, the census is all self-reported. So
Yeah. I mean, I always wondered if they like built in some guessing, like a percentage like above, But I do think like even I remember when iPhones started doing the thumbprint thing, and my boyfriend at the time, sister, was like, don't do it. The government has your fingerprint then. And I was like, yeah, man, it is crazy to think about how traceable we all are, for sure.
Well, think about Minority Report. I mean, we've all got now facial recognition on our phones.
Yeah.
And like cornea recognition and all of that. And when you're anywhere, there's cameras everywhere. Yeah, no, it's I'm like not like a tin hat wearer, but maybe like
I'm close.
2 steps over. Yeah, I'm not far. I'm definitely not far.
Man, I would say like to totally get off topic, and I would be okay with this. I think we should do an episode on conspiracy theories. Like, what's your biggest conspiracy theory? And we can talk it out.
But that's tough because they can be so sensitive in nature. Like any sort of political conspiracy theories. I mean, even health and well-being conspiracy theories, right? Like, I mean, did you guys see this week the protests at Kellogg's?
Oh yeah, for the dye.
Yeah, for the food dye, and
Yeah.
Kellogg's had signs that literally said "Get off our lawn, get off our lawn." That was in their
No.
windows.
Aren't but don't they, I don't know, like I know California banned a ton of dyes and stuff in their food in California only, and it's like, why can't you just do that everywhere? And like I understand, like I also will tell you, because of that Yuka app, I am so critical of people that I'm like, you're a health nut and you're drinking or eating that. Like, do you know what's in there? I'm like, oh man, I was with Aubrey the other day grocery shopping and just like trying to find graham crackers, and I could not find one graham cracker box that didn't have a bajillion additives in it. And I was like, what are we doing here? And that's probably another case, like to circle back to the placenta, like kind of like when you adopt, or you don't know what you're getting because you don't necessarily know what that mom was doing while she was pregnant, knowing she wasn't going to keep that kid. Like they said, it is a risk with those placentas. Like, did that person have AIDS? Did that person have whatever? You just are at this stage in the game. Is that person eating that additive? Like who knows?
I will say though, last week I decided to make my own potato chips. They were the best potato chips we've ever had. I was like, wow, this was low effort, high yield, excellent quality. I was like, why? And then I made French fries, and then I bought some like frozen French fries and made those at home the other day. And I was like, these actually are terrible. And I've been eating them for years thinking they were the best frozen French fries out there. And I was like, oh gosh. I was like, now, like, once you taste a good potato, you never go back. So I bought a bunch of potatoes today.
I've changed so much since having the girls, like making food and wanting them to have experiences that I didn't, in the sense of like really good food, and like, I don't mean like I'm a great cook. I mean it like pure food, like not
Whole
additives
food.
and yeah, like
Real food.
icky stuff.
Yeah.
Like I grew up on a lot of that TV dinner stuff and sodium
The
stuff
blue
like
ones with
that.
the
Like
penguin and the fake brownie.
yes, and the fake brownie. I like even at that stage in the game, I hated that fake
Yeah,
brownie.
I thought it was so
Yeah.
It was so gross. It was wax.
Yeah.
It was
I can still
disgusting.
like taste their mac and cheese too. And mac and cheese is
Oh
like my
my
favorite thing
gosh.
of all time. And that mac and cheese was
Their
terrible.
mac and cheese was so bad. I know. I'm like at the point. Brandon's like, I mean, where do we draw a line of like your effort and time is valuable, and you're sitting here making things that we can get?
But honestly, though, to that point, because like, I mean, I grew up on all that crap. My grandma used to get so mad at my mom because she would feed me Pop-Tarts every single day. My grandma's like,
Yeah.
you're feeding her cardboard. And like, so it's interesting too, because you kind of look at generationally, right? Like our grandparents didn't have access to any of the processed foods. Then our parents got access to all the processed foods and fed us all
Yeah.
of that. And now
Yeah.
we know what's in those processed foods and aren't feeding them to our kids. And it's like a full circle has happened, right? But like a lot of the recipes that I find that I really like are like one bowl, one blender recipes.
Yeah.
Like throw it all in the blender, roll it out, and you're good. And I'm like, so it's
Yeah.
really not. And to your point, when I'm going in and I'm spending time scanning and reading through everything at the store and looking at ingredients and everything, that takes up more of my time than if I just throw it in a blender and make it at home.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I feel like everything has seed oil. Like it's even like deemed good. You can go to like, for me it's 2J's, for you it's Sprouts, like, or for you guys, but like still everything is in seed oil, which is also not good for your health. Known like carcinogens, like can cause cancer. It's just I don't know. Make the food better. Like, but yeah. I did make
It's too much money
some,
in it, I think.
yeah.
Well,
I made
here's the conspiracy theory behind that, if we're so inclined. the food industry, the government, and the healthcare industry are all this little triangle trifecta.
Mhm.
They're all fueling
Yeah.
each other. And if our food is keeping us healthy, then the healthcare industry won't be generating money off of us. And the healthcare industry fuels the government. And then, so it's all just goes back together. It's this little triangle. You should
Yeah.
watch Fed
Yeah,
Up
we
by
have
Katie
the
Couric
sickest.
if you haven't seen it.
Yeah. We have the sickest kids, like, than a lot of, like, other countries. It's wild.
And we have the most amount
Yeah.
of ingredients allowed in our food that are banned everywhere else.
Weren't you
Yeah.
telling, wait, Leah, were you the one telling me that, or was I hearing it somewhere else, that Subway's bread is considered cake in other countries because of how much sugar is in it?
No, that wasn't me.
No, wasn't you?
That's wild.
I'm trying to remember where I heard it, and I was like, is that for real? I have not fact checked it, so don't take my word for it, but I heard it and I was like, well, it doesn't surprise me. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. So crazy. Like, we could go down that wormhole of food big time.
You type in, is Subway's bread considered, and it auto-populates cake. Yes, Ireland's Supreme Court ruled that Subway's bread is cake because it has too much sugar to be considered bread under the country's value-added tax regulations.
Gross.
Isn't that
Oh,
crazy? And I
Yeah.
remember my parents would take us to Subway and be like, we're eating healthy today. I'm like, damn it, Jared.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yes.
It was Jared, right? Jared lost all this
Yeah.
weight. We're eating healthy at Subway.
Jared the
Well,
pedophile.
Yeah.
Did you
there's
know?
that too. Yes. But one of their, I think it's their tuna salad, maybe. They can no longer call tuna salad because there's not enough tuna in it for it to be
so little
considered.
tuna.
Yeah.
I used to get their tuna, and I would, like, every time I would get it, I would be like, I feel like I'm like rolling the dice on getting food poisoning, like, because who the heck knows what you're getting. But yeah, I mean, I think it's so hard because it's like, you know, I think our it's what you know, right? And like for our parents, it was easy, and we were being fed. It's not like we weren't eating, so we were eating this stuff that wasn't great for you. But you know, like, I keep thinking about that, and I keep wondering, like, will I continue to be able to cook and do these things like I do now as the girls get older and the activities get bigger and stuff like that, you know? Like, I don't know, but like right now I feel good about it. Like tonight I made a dinner because I started following a keto guy on on Instagram, and I'm like, I'm having a lot of like mental issues of like gaining a ton of weight and what can I do and should I cut out carbs. And I found this keto guy, and he makes so much food with cream cheese, and I'm like, oh heck yes, this is my guy. I'm doing it. But I'm like, I could gain weight on his because of how much cream cheese I would eat. I would eat so much cream cheese.
I
It's
love
like the
cream
Atkins
cheese.
diet. Like, you can't sit there and tell me like that's good for you. Like, I just got my labs back, and I'm like, everything's great, my cholesterol's great, and I eat eggs nearly every day, like, you know, like all these things. And I'm like, all right, well, like, yeah, how bad could it be if I just throw in a lot of cream cheese and try to do that again? But it's sustainability of it is hard. Like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
I made
hard.
some pumpkin cookies for like a get together on Friday, and it was from yummytoddlerfood.com. So it didn't have
Mm,
sugar; it had like the syrup and the apple, like unsweetened applesauce.
yeah.
And I brought cookies, and there was other cookies there too. And I was like, "Oh yeah, mine doesn't have sugar in it. Like, so if you want to give it to your kids, they're great." Like, "Oh, I just give my kids whatever." I'm like, "That's cool. Like, you don't have to eat them." So I was like real nervous. I'm like, "They're probably gonna think it's bad," or I'm like,
Mm,
here is the hippie mom. I don't know, but they actually really liked them, so I was
they're
happy for
good.
that. Like,
Her
this is
stuff
good.
is
Can I
so
have this?
good.
I know, and I gave Weston. It did have a little bit of chocolate chips in it, so it did have like sugar. But I bought the best chocolate chips that you can buy. I
Yeah.
guess
Yeah, I
the
was
better
so
ones, anyways.
disheartened to scan all the
Yeah,
chocolate chips and realize those weren't even good. I was like, come on.
I know.
yeah,
I
What are we
thought it was
doing
just like
here?
pure chocolate, and it was not
Yes.
by any
No,
means.
no.
Yeah, that was one I was looking for too, is the chocolate chips, and I was like, this is awful.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I made some pumpkin muffins from Yummy Toddler Food this weekend.
Mm,
Legitimately
yeah.
the best muffins I've ever made. The texture was perfect.
Yeah.
Flavor was good. Yeah.
My mom gave me a lot of heat because I was like, yeah, they're sugar free. And she's like, they're not sugar free. Like, you cannot claim that maple syrup and honey is sugar free. I'm like, okay, that's fair. Like, refined sugar, like, I get it. Like, and I do think that she has a little bit of that guilt of like, she didn't have the time to do all that stuff. If, even in that day and age, where's she going to go look up recipes? The library? Like, yeah, right. Like, that would be really hard. Like, I'm at the point now where like I can throw ingredients together and I'll figure out a way to make it work. But there's a long period of time of me trying to cook and bake where like if they didn't say exactly what I had in my house, I would go run and get it. Like I didn't know that you could substitute milk with yogurt and vice versa. Like I would and that makes it hard and intimidating if you're not into that. And I was playing golf recently with a couple of moms and they're like, man, you guys like cook and bake that much? That's incredible. Like, how do you do that? We just give our kids packaged foods because it's easier. And I'm like, I get it. But they also aren't in the circle that we're in, I think, of like knowing, like Hannah had toothpaste the other day with fluoride in, and I was like, like this is
which I started that. I was like,
yeah,
well, they're gonna think I'm weird.
Well, I will tell you, Danielle, when you first sent that, I got really defensive. I was like, what the heck? Like, what is she trying to say? Like, I'm poisoning my kids?
Have you seen how much has come out since then? Because that was like 6 months ago. There's been a lot more that's come out since about the effects of fluoride and IQ in children. Mm-hmm.
Oh, no way. I haven't heard that. I do know that xylitol, which is in a lot of those non-fluoride toothpaste, is under the microscope right now too. So it's like, dude, I don't even know. Like at this point, just wash your mouth with soap. I don't know. I don't know what to do. And even the soap isn't good. So who the heck knows?
I've seen people like use like hydrogen peroxide and then also just coconut oil and they like swish around for like 30 minutes in their mouth. I'm like, I don't have time for that.
I used to do that. I used to do oil pulling.
Yeah.
Every morning.
What is it called again?
Oil pulling.
Oil pulling.
My teeth were so white.
Were they? I need a whitener.
I did it for probably 2 years. I kept the coconut
30
oil.
minutes? Like, did you have the world's strongest mouth too? Like my muscles get sore after like 15 seconds.
I think I did, honestly, actually. Like, I feel like my jaw muscles were much stronger. But it wasn't like, right? It's like,
okay.
Yeah.
Just hold. Yeah, but still, that's insane. Same.
It's hard to brush my teeth for 2 minutes. I can't imagine doing that for 30.
Same. I also would definitely forget and swallow it.
I don't think you would. It gets a weird texture.
If someone just
and
came
like
into
foamy.
this podcast at this point, I just want to be like,
somebody
that's what
mark
she
it for
said.
a clip.
That's what she said.
That's what she said.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you've got a white creamy substance in your mouth that you forgot about and swallowed.
Coconut oil, you guys, get your mind out of the gutter.
Oh my goodness.
I'm just spitting facts here.
Oh my goodness. You have to clip this one for sure.
I'm blushing. I'm the one who said it. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so I did it. I started with like 5 minutes and then worked my way up. Yeah,
man.
But my teeth were
I agree
white.
with you. Really, I've thought about doing the charcoal thing because I've heard that works pretty well.
That didn't do anything for me.
I need something, and I'm like, I literally have a Black Friday list building, you guys. It's like it's already 4 things deep that is gonna be at least like $500, and I'm like, and it just keeps building. So I was like, oh, maybe they'll put the what's that brand again? Boca, that does the non-fluoride toothpaste. They do a whitening kit, and I know they run sales on that. You've done that one, right, Leah?
Didn't
you tell me you did that one?
The Lumina.
Oh, yeah. Okay. No,
it didn't do anything for me. The most success I've had was with the creamy white stuff that Lisa would forget about and swallow. AKA coconut oil.
Coconut oil. Get the
Man.
organic.
Yeah.
You've got it.
Well, and so funny story about that. Okay, so I started doing oil pulling when I lived in Costa Rica. And so when you'd go to the store and you'd get coconut oil, it was a liquid.
Mm.
Well, when I came back to the US and I asked someone at the grocery store where the coconut oil was, they took me to the aisle and I was like, no, that's not coconut oil. And they're like, yes, it is. And I was like, no, coconut oil is a liquid. Like, this is coconut oil. Well, coconut oil solidifies at cooler temperatures. So in the grocery stores in the US, there's obviously air conditioning and things. So it's solid. So I was very, very, very confused. The guy at the grocery store probably thought I was an idiot, but I was like, that's not coconut oil, sir.
I
It's
bought
liquid.
the liquid coconut oil for like my hair to try and treat it. And I was like, oh, I wonder if I could put this like food grade. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably not worth trying. But yeah, like we used coconut oil for a ton of stuff. Cause I think Leah, you were the one who told me when you have to take anal temperature for babies to put coconut oil around it and then put it like up their butt. And it did amazing for us as a lubricant for Aubrey. It was awesome. Actually, I know that people use coconut oil as a lubricant for sex, but
wow.
I could be a coconut oil brand rep. I've used it for my hair, my skin. I used to only wash my face with coconut oil.
Oh, why don't you do that anymore?
Yeah, you could do it for makeup remover.
Yeah,
also.
you can do it for makeup remover. I don't know. I found a skincare line that I really like now that I'm using that I feel like has really helped my skin. But a lot of those things that I was doing were, well, one, when I was in Costa Rica, there were only limited resources available. And so I had to figure out how to use what I had around me. And coconut oil was pretty much everything. I used coconut oil mixed with, what'd you say?
Plentiful there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was a basic ingredient, right? I used it as bug repellent, mixed it with lavender. And we did not get dengue fever in our house, but everybody else around us got dengue fever. And I swear it was because of the coconut oil, garlic, and lavender. But yeah, so I could be a coconut oil.
We used coconut oil to get Hannah's temporary tattoo off the other day. And because we were like, we're never going to get this off. And so I was Googling, it was like coconut oil. And Brandon's like, interesting. And he tried it and it came right off. I was like, that's awesome. That's good to know. Makeup remover. Same idea there.
Yeah. So going back to kind of the placenta, and you were wondering about the vision. So it's because of the concentration of stem cells. So we've all heard of stem cells treatments, right? Like those are pretty common. But that's where this benefits of the placenta comes from, is because of the concentration of the stem cells. And so they would extract some of that. And that's how the gentleman's sight was restored, was through the stem cell treatment of the placenta.
I will tell you, like, you can like, I was talking about earlier today in Flagstaff, like the 1 degree of separation here, like you can always find a way to know somebody else. It's like, that's how I feel when we start saying these things of like, okay, I'm going to start spiraling here. And you're going to be like, where are we going here? So they keep saying that population growth is like declining so badly and they need the birth rate to go up. And I was like, all right, well, and if you want more placentas to heal more people and stuff like that, then you need to incentivize that and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, I was thinking about it. I was like, all right, if you gave me a year paid for maternity leave, I honestly think I could like walk myself into having 7 kids. It's like, I mean, I don't want 7 kids and I don't want more than 2 kids, but like, if you're going to give me a year off, that's a great incentive to get me to have more kids or have or people to have kids, you know, if you're going to pay, obviously pay them, but.
Right.
Yeah. I think that could maybe incentivize people who already have kids, but I really don't think that there's much that are going to change. We just have a generation of a lot of people who don't want kids. And I don't know how you change that. I mean, you don't have to, right? But it does impact the birth rate. I think it's the least amount of, clearly the least amount of people having kids right now over generations, when and families have progressively been getting smaller over time. Like,
Yeah.
my dad was one of 4. I'm one of 2.5. My Weston is one of 1. And so it's like, but, you know, people years ago, yeah, had 13 kids.
Somebody put it in perspective, like based off like money. Having 3 kids today is like having 10 kids back in the day. Whatever
Mhm.
she said.
Yeah,
Really?
So yeah.
totally.
So
Wow,
having
I
3
haven't heard that
kids is
before.
the equivalent, like financially, as having 10 kids.
I still want to have the girls in our group that don't want to have kids on the find out why they don't want to have kids, because like I'm pretty sure both Allie and Michaela had thought they were going to have kids growing up. And I'd like to know that thing, because I've read many articles. Like, that's a topic that keeps coming up as they try to figure out what's going to happen with the birth rates, is like, money isn't the main driving force for a lot of people for not having kids. And it's like, that's interesting. And I wonder, if there is science and research into the people who don't decide not to have kids on their upbringings. Because I always said that to Michaela, like, I always questioned her of the reason she didn't want to have kids was because of her upbringing. Like, is that why? And she's like, that's probably part of it. But if, I don't know, it surprises me with Bryce, because Bryce is such a, he has great parents. You guys have a great in-laws, and, I don't know, but
Yeah,
that doesn't
I don't know
matter, but
either.
who knows?
I think maybe sometimes it's hard to give up, like, I don't know, what you've got going on.
Yeah,
Because it changes your life. But for me, it changed my life in a good way. Like, we've talked about that, but people have their reasons, I guess. I don't know.
Well, it's interesting because like, even my one cousin was talking about they're going to only have one kid. And she's like, she texted me and she's like, my sister-in-law is pregnant. I'm so excited. And I was like, I don't know your sister-in-law. I've never met her. Like, I don't know anything about them. And I talked to my cousin a lot, and she's like, it just makes me feel a lot better only having Ella all by herself, that she's going to have a ton of cousins around to, like, she won't be by herself when we both pass away. And I'm like, oh man, that's such an interesting way to think about that,
Yeah, but I think too, there's another thought. I don't like the narrative of having multiple kids. You're going to have your kids' best friends built in.
Yeah.
That is absolutely not true in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that, I think if people want to have multiple kids, that's great. But I don't think that people should be pressured into having multiple kids because of this narrative of like, they're going to have a built-in best friend, because that is not a guarantee. And
no,
they might hate each other.
They might hate each other, and
totally.
It might make things so much worse on the parents because there's all this tension and fighting and struggling with the other siblings, right? So like, I think if people want to have multiple kids, then that just needs, again, but we talk about this like outside influences, right? It's so hard because everybody has an opinion on something, and everybody kind of takes it to heart and digests it and tries to figure out, like, weeding through those opinions and narratives that you're hearing. But yeah, I just think it's interesting. And then, like, I don't know, I think also that people are getting married later. I mean, we know that, right? People used to get married when they were 16, 17, 18 years old, start popping out kids by 19. Of course you're going to have 13 kids because you're going to be done by the time you're 33. But
especially if you don't believe in birth control.
Well, and then, I mean, back in those days, who knows what they even had available to them. But
they were douching with Lysol, we learned.
Oh no, I heard back in the medieval time they used pigskins for condoms. Could you imagine? That's gross.
That's disgusting. I'm gonna vomit. But like, I think about my friends who are single now, And oh my God, it's so hard for them. I don't want to say I feel bad, because all of them say, like, I don't want to be pitied, but the stuff that's out there that they're weeding through right now, like,
You mean the partners, like the potential
yeah,
partners?
yeah, like, it's just, it's not good. It's a really hard dating scene for both genders. And so it's like, when you know a good guy and a good girl, you're like, wait, how come you guys haven't met? Like, what are we doing here? But like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so like all of those things I think are contributing to the declining birth rate.
There's been a lot of research done right now, because both sides of the political campaign are really focusing on males in their young 20s, because more and more of them aren't going to college, or if they do go to college, they're not graduating. They have no motivation really to, go and succeed and do things, and they're depressed, or they've been exposed to the really hard drugs that are hitting the market now. And like, there's been a lot of research about what's coming up through the pipeline, and you're like, yeah, man, like that's wild to think that's our future.
So that is so interesting, because today I was reading a completely contradictory email or
Really?
article. Mm-hmm. That the young men in their 20s are the strongest, most opinionated generation. They're doing some of the skilled trades they're getting into again. So
that's where the money is at. It's smart.
Well, and skilled trades don't go away, right? Like,
right.
Everything else kind of ebbs and flows, but skilled trades are they'll always be critical. But yeah, that's really funny.
If you listen to a lot of the podcasts about the election right now, it's a lot of like, they're the target market because they're very impressionable, and they want to know what these candidates are going to do for them, because they're in such ruts in their lives and they're not graduating college. But like Brandon said, the same thing you said, Leah, like, I think a lot more of them are going to trades. And I think that's where like a lot of my saving for school issue is coming in right now, is like, will my kids even want to go to school? Will that even be a thing? Like, when they get to college age, I don't even know. Like, I don't have a clue what it's going to be like by the time that they get there. I don't know. I can't imagine. Like, when I went to school out of state, and I paid $25,000 a year. I mean, that's $100,000 I paid. Yeah. That's a lot of freaking money, man. And that was in insane. 2005 to 2009. And that was a public university, but it was just that I was an out-of-state person. That's a lot of money.
That's wild. That's a lot of money.
And how is it with inflation? How is it going to get better? Like, how are kids going to be able to afford college? I don't know. Or be strapped with a ton of debt. I get it. Like, if you start thinking about all these things and you let me go loose on people who don't want to have kids, they're going to even further not want to have kids. Because like, it's a really, and like, I talked to you about this yesterday, Leah. Like, I'm at the point where I'm like, will I ever stop worrying? No, I'll never stop worrying about my kids. It's like every new stage, it's like, oh, now I got to worry about this. Great. This is fun. I just.
Yeah. Wasn't Pommelhurst the toilet today? He's 1 inch away from a concussion 100 times a day. It's like, you have kids, you worry, and then you die.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But it's great.
It is.
Great.
It is great.
No. It is.
Yeah.
But it's hard. But it's great.
So placentas, am I right?
Right. Yeah, placentas. Would you eat yours? That's the question of the day.
I would absolutely have to encapsulate. I don't think I'd be able to sit down and eat it like a steak.
No, and I don't think many people do that. I think they, I mean,
the animals do, right?
Well, yes.
Ain't no OBs in the Lion Kingdom.
We watched The Lion King 4 times last week.
Did you?
We did.
Oh.
Me and Steven.
Yes.
Not Wesson. Me and Steven.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I was going to say.
Well, I was going to say, I don't know why I've seen this. I don't watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians, but I know it was like Courtney or one of them pretended, yeah, to like, she had all her family over for dinner. And she's like, do you like it? Is it good? And she's like, it's my placenta. So she tricked everyone there thinking that they ate her placenta. That's gross. But it wasn't. Because I fact checked it just a second ago.
I completely grossed my father-in-law out when he was like, oh, what's that on the counter? I was like, oh, that's my placenta. Because I had my pills on the counter. And he was so grossed out. I was like, I've got pictures of it. You want to see it? I get so much joy out of giving that man the complete heebie-jeebies and willies. Like, he just gets so grossed out by so much stuff that I say, and I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, I feel like that's my dad. He'll like leave the room if I'm talking about things that, I don't know, women shouldn't be talking out loud. No, I'm just kidding. Like, very old-fashioned.
My dad just thinks I'm weird. He's just like, you're just so weird. You do the weirdest things. I'm like, cool. I will give you this. I have tried everything once, maybe twice. Like, Lisa, like you said, like if you're an expert in something and you're telling me to do this, I will probably try it. I have tried it all.
Same. Yeah.
I am Instagram's favorite customer for their advertisements.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's why I had to get off of there.
I think I enjoy that more than seeing people's posts.
Absolutely.
Now.
So do I. I'm like, ooh, what products can I get now?
Which is so crazy because I used to get so mad. I used to get so mad at how many ads I got. And now I'm like, this is all I want to see. Like, I don't even want to see people's posts. I don't care what you're doing. Give me the ads. Like, I just bought my first pair of all white shoes because that's what the kids are wearing now. So I overnight got an ad about this bag that you can put your white shoes in the washing machine and it keeps them perfectly white forever. And I'm like, need it.
Send it.
There's no way it's true. No way it's true, but I need it.
Send it. I need it.
Yeah, I know. Bad.
I need it. It's so interesting because, you know, we talked about my dad has a really hard time with the way I parent. And we went to San Diego. It was me and the girls. Brandon didn't come with, and my parents. And my dad was like, you need to teach Hannah discipline. You need to discipline her. I was like, Dad, she's 2 years old. He's like, you need to teach her how to listen to you. And I was like, Dad, if you can figure that out, you go ahead and sell that because you're going to be so rich, right? Like I also know like he has a very poor memory. So it's like, my mom's like, you were a terror at 3 years old. You didn't have the terrible 2s. You had the terrible 3s. And I was like, well, Lord help us if that's true for Hannah because 2's been rough. But, you know, it's like, it's so hard when they see you parenting and they still want to be your parent and still give you that advice. And you're like, you know what? I live with them day to day and you pop in here and there. It's really hard for me to be like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to go smack my kid on the hand or like, hey, you better listen to me. Cause that's how I grew up. And I've consciously decided that is not how we want our children to grow up. And maybe that worked for you and I did turn out all right, but I have had some stuff to work through in therapy because of it, you know, like, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard. Everybody's got their theories.
And yet, regardless of what theory you apply, everybody's going to turn out different.
Yep.
We're not
building
robots here.
No, but Elon Musk is.
Talk about another conspiracy theory. Robots. Robots are going to be the reason AI. That the human existence evaporates. Yeah. So, well, AI will not save your placenta. Robots will not save your placenta. So if you want to save your placenta, please talk to your doula or your doctor.
And then even still, get a different doctor.
Get as many opinions as you want and then formulate your own.
Yeah. Don't talk to me. I don't know anything.
I don't think
Cool.
any of us do.
Yeah.
No.
We're
just
winging it.
flying by the seat of our mom genes.
Yeah.
Well,
Love that.
that's a wrap.
Bye.
All right. Danielle?
Cool. Oh, sorry. There we go. Man, we finished. And that wraps up another episode of Mom Jeans, trying to fit into motherhood. Thank you again so much for listening to us. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please consider giving us 5 stars so other mothers out there like you can find us and listen. If you would like, you could follow us on any of our socials at Mom Jeans, the podcast. If you have questions, would like to send us your birth story, or give us suggestions or things that you would like to hear, please email us at hello@momjeansthepodcast.com. See you next week.